Hello and welcome to episode 67 of the Late Challenge podcast with me, Paul Cope, and him, Gareth Roberts. As we wind down the season with the end of the Jurgen Klopp farewell tour, we'll be talking about the Aston Villa game, asking whether the wider league is weaker or stronger than in years gone by, given what's happening with Man City, and the fourth bottom team being safe on 29 points, which I didn't realise until the weekend. We'll be taking a look at the comings and goings behind the scenes at LFC, having a little laugh at Man United, and having a look back at what's been going on in European football over the past week, including Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen setting a new all-time record. And for the first time, I'm going to ask, are they actually as good as everyone is going on about? That's mainly just to make myself feel better. But we'll start with the Villa game. It was Jurgen Klopp's penultimate game in charge of the Reds and his last away game. And I don't know about you, mate, but I think, you know what I'm like, and I love doing your heading with the everything happens for a reason. Yeah. I think it's actually been quite nice that he's got to have the last couple of weeks, not just for him, but for all of us. We've got to have like the last 2 or 3 weeks of his reign where we get the old him back, being funny and joking around, and we all get to relax a bit. And you're like even hearing the away end, like just singing his song all the way through, thinking, well, it's sound, we can just sing it now because there's no pressure. And then to even experience a game like that before we get into the details and not be that arsed. Like imagine what that would have been like if we were still going for the league.
Yeah, it would have been horrible, wouldn't it? I mean, look, it's still frustrating, it's still annoying, but I just can't be that frustrated or that annoyed about it. Yeah. Seemingly lots of people are, as is the case in 2024 with access to strangers' opinions and all that. But I couldn't get too wound up about it. I mean, what's more frustrating, more upsetting, more a little bit sad is that, the farewell hasn't gone how we wanted it to. And, yesterday was just an example of why, really. Like, we're too easy to play through. We're too easy to score goals against. We don't sort of look like, we don't really look like a team with like a system as such anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, when you had Fabinho and stuff like that, and, when you had the front three, we referenced that the other week, didn't we, about how you just called them that. We were a system, we were a machine. You went out, you saw Liverpool play, and you saw patterns, you recognised patterns. You were like, oh yeah, and then he'll do this for me, and then we'll be in and we'll score a goal. Yeah. And at the minute, we're scoring goals and we're all right that end, but it's the other end's all over the show, isn't it? Like, I mean, and to be fair, I thought Villa weren't much better at times. It was like, it was like watching junior football at times. You know what I mean? You're just like looking all the time to see what's happening with the flag or VAR, and then it's just like, playground footy with, one side going to the end, the other side going to the other end, who can score the most type of thing. I guess it was entertaining for someone, but it's never too entertaining to throw a 2-goal lead away in that fashion so late on. But equally, as you say, I think there was still the bit at the end where you were just able to shrug a little bit, because look, it's gone, hasn't it? And it went a long time ago. You can say it was Palace, you can say it was Everton, you can say it was Man United, which is what I would say personally. I think what's interesting as well, overall, it's sorted with the third best team this season in the league. There's stuff there for Arne to come in and, mould and manipulate and build on and all the rest of it. It's not bad what he's got to work with. What I think's almost strange about this season is all season long we've been talking about it and saying, how often can they keep coming back from conceding the first goal? How often do they concede daft goals? How often don't they control it? And how sustainable is all this? And now I think if I've got it right, I was just adding it up quickly before you said go there. I think that the longest run of wins we've had all season is 7. And it's weird that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because we've only lost 7 all comps all season. And, one of them was like a dead rubber in the Europa or whatever, wasn't it? And things like that. Doesn't really matter. But I don't know, that sort of took me by surprise a little bit. It feels like we've been better than that. It feels like but if you think about the scenes when we were the machine, we were just unbelievable, weren't we? We were just sweeping everything aside. You knew it was coming. You knew we were winning it. It was done by Christmas and no one had any answers. This time, it's just been about sort of staying in it by hook, by crook, clinging on by fingernails, and eventually someone stamped on our fingers and we fell off the cliff, and that's what's happened, isn't it, towards the end. I think it's dead weird now as well, isn't it? I mean, I was at, we always say, we were saying just off air then, well, I was saying to him just off air, you weren't even here, I was saying that, it must be weird now, really weird in terms of like what you do. So like you're looking at it as the manager, or even Linda's, or Klopp's team, and you're going, well, that's not working and that needs fixing. But can you go into the players and honestly look them in the eye and start talking about a new system or something different, when 1, you're not going to win the league, 2, you're definitely finishing 3rd, 3, everyone's leaving and a totally new team are going to come in. It's just weird, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like a weird situation, a situation that, like, even us as fans, we've never known a situation where we knew the manager was leaving like this so far in advance. And I was just trying to work it out, wasn't I, before we came in? I think you're looking at Bob Paisley, which is just about in my lifetime, like, do you know what I mean? I was a kid. So you're looking at then for a manager that's announced he's leaving, and then we've played for months with him still as the manager. Everyone else has either been sacked or resignation was sudden in the case of Kenny Dalglish the first time round. So we haven't actually got experience of this as fans either. So yeah, it's just all dead weird. And there's a massive part. I mean, maybe shouldn't be saying this when we're creating content about Liverpool and hoping people engage with it, but I sort of can't wait for it to be over now. I need a break from it. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
That's the general. Just chatting to a few different people over the past few days, including today. That seems to be the general consensus that, like, A, it's probably the right time for Jurgen to go, and B, everyone's ready for the summer. And me and you've banged on about this for years, haven't we? Football is a human too, Yeah. So like the whole idea of the end of the season being like, yeah, do you know what? And I think we might have mentioned this one last week, but it was funny that, like, literally Klopp said about a week ago in one of his interviews, like, when this one was like, what's going on with the defence? And he was like, fuck me if I know. But that's someone else's problem now for next year. And you're like, but that is a thing, isn't it? That is a thing. It's like, and he meant, I don't know whether you saw it, he mentioned in the pre-match interview on Sky yesterday, when they said to him about, like, motivating the players and stuff. And he went, well, at the end of the day, like, I can't do some of the things I used to do. Like, I can't say to them, well, win the next 2 games and I'll give you an extra week off in the summer, because that's not up to me. It's literally not up to me anymore. I can't tell them they'll be in the squad next season. I can't say this, I can't say that. So it must be weird for them, mustn't it?
Some of it's just is annoying. I'm saying, started off by saying I wasn't annoyed, but then equally just the sheer doziness of some of the stuff that Liverpool seem to be doing on the regular is annoying.
Isn't it? Don't you think it's more annoying when it's your best players doing it? Yeah, like when McAllister makes silly mistakes, I'm like, come on, mate, you're better
or
than
even
that.
Alisson giving it to him there, do you know what I mean? You're like, just have, where's the nous? And like at key times, at key moments in the season, it appears we just lack some nous at times. And, and I don't think Klopp puts the nous into them. They've all been playing footy for years. They're all pros. And there's just time, I don't know, there's just times where I think, they are just that. I think the thing of, like, we absolutely got stuck into Postecoglou that time, didn't we? And said, it's absolutely wild that he's saying, you just keep going for it. No matter, if I've got 9 men, 8 men, whatever, I'm just going to play this ridiculous high line and keep on going for it regardless. But don't we do that a bit? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like a 3-1, just see the game out, lads. Like, just boom the ball at times. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything doesn't have to be like some, like, beautiful goal built from the goalkeeper. Like, and equally, if there's times where, like, it's on top and, like, you're getting pressured and it's quite clear, like, a few years of making mistakes and, they've got a bit of momentum. Again, there's nothing wrong with just going a bit old school, isn't there? And, whacking her up the pitch and sitting a bit deeper and going, bring it on, boys. But they just never do. And, like, obviously that's one of the things on the next fella's to-do list. Like, because we've seen managers before where they have one way for one scenario and one way for another scenario. And the 3-1 up scenario shouldn't be what we were doing there. Because it was dozy, it was dopey, it should have been seen out. Villa weren't even that good. They looked gassed. And then we've absolutely, like, laid it on a plate for them, albeit, they had a little bit of luck, although I imagine if you had a Villa fan sitting here, he would be saying, well, you know, we had that unbelievable chance where you don't know how it doesn't end up in the back of the net because, you know, Watkins is waiting to stick it in, isn't he? And the other fella nicks it. And so, you know. Yeah,
and before that, their goalie literally lashed one in the net.
Yeah.
So you're like, all right, it evens those.
And Alisson has to make a great save for us to save a point.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is wild as well, isn't it?
But you know what? Back to what you were saying about Klopp and like this team. Again, you know, they were saying on Sky that like that is a Jurgen Klopp team, like all guns blazing, never stopping, never quitting, never shutting up shop. And if you think about the season we won the league, I've been watching like some clips over the past few days. I'm sure everyone's going to be doing it over the next couple of weeks. But you know, the best away games under Klopp and all stuff like that. And there was one where it showed it, and it was like we won. I think it was away to Norwich. We won to go 25 points clear in the league. And when I just read that sentence, I was like, I don't think, and I actually don't think even for those of us who try and appreciate things when they're happening, I just don't think it's possible to fully appreciate things until it's gone and you look back at it. Imagine being a side, like think about Arsenal fans, think they're hard done to this year. Arsenal are going to finish on 89 points. Well, if you just said to me at the start of the season, Arsenal are going to finish on 89 points, do you think they'll win the league? I'd say, nah. They'll probably finish 5-6 points behind City. City are going to get over 90 points easily. We beat Man City to the league and we were 25 points ahead of them. 20, not 2, not 5, 25 points. That's how good that season was. And when you look back, that was probably, of all the Jurgen Klopp seasons we've had, the least Jurgen Klopp side. It was the most methodical, wasn't it? We were like a machine. And when you think about what you were saying before about the front three, we also had the midfield three, which was much maligned at the time, wasn't it? Think about how many conversations there used to be about what does Gini Wijnaldum do? Why doesn't Jordan Henderson pass it forward enough? There's not enough creativity. They're shite. They're boring. We need more goals from midfield. Well, guess what? Those three players gave us the basis and the foundation to Champions League. And the reality is, since then, we've tried to go more expansive because you've got to be careful not to be revisionist about this. The reason we had to start changing is it looked like teams had started to figure us out a bit and we didn't have enough creativity on the pitch. So we've gone more creative. We've got way more creative midfielders now. And guess what? As a result of that, you fucking people running through the middle of you still.
There's loads of stuff, isn't there, that, you know, you would still say is unresolved and is definitely sort of like, well, what happens now type of thing for the next man. There's loads of stuff that he can mould and there's loads of stuff that he can do. Put this team into his own identity now, because, like, you know, do you want to persist with the idea that McAllister can play defensive midfielder? Like, because, you know, Klopp has persisted with it, but, you know, he might come in and go, he's absolutely not the man for there. One, he looks absolutely gassed at times and he doesn't seem to have the legs for it.
That's the most concerning thing for me with McAllister.
Yeah.
Like, I know we had that one where he'd been up a mountain playing and on oxygen and that, but there are loads of times when you look at him and think, after an hour, you look done, mate. You look goosed.
It's because doing that job is dead hard,
it's hard,
it?
Playing
in midfield and for the same reason and the same point. Like, Endo's done all right. But, you know, we've gone and got him from the middle aisle of Aldi or whatever. Like, you know, what's the long-term plan? He's in his 30s. So, like, you know, I'm sure he can still play for Liverpool and do so to a good standard. I'm not doing him down. He's done great. But what's the plan for that position? And, you know, is there a world-class DM we can go out and get? Because there's a big argument to say we probably should be doing. I mean, on the idea of, like, you know, I wanted to bring this in somewhere, and you mentioned Arsenal possibly finishing on 89 and not finishing the league. There's various nonsense, isn't there, going around, and there will be all the way through, you know, there will be after Wolves, there will be all through the summer, and eventually when we get a new manager and we settle into that and we move on properly from Klopp, I guess then it dies down. But of the many things and the many pointers to why he's done a job and why and more, and why sort of like brought Liverpool back to being Liverpool, if you like. Before he came in, the most points we'd ever got in a 38 game season was 86. 09. We got 86 points and finished second. And under him, we're in the 90s 3 times, aren't we? And okay, only one of them results in a title. But, there's there was another one that we lost on the last day, if you like. There was a point during that last day where we were winning the league, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. And then City come back and then they win it. There's that 0.2 millimeters moment as well and stuff like that. I just think it's that daft, some of the revisionism over Klopp. I think that we're in a weird place. I mentioned already, we're in a weird place. We're in a weird place as well because I think what we saw happen with the team, etc., and where it's at. I think you mentioned the other week, didn't you, about what Trent said in his interview, and I can feel that as well. A fresh voice is probably a good thing now. Do you know what I mean? And that's not to do him down at all. Love the fella. Trying to write something that no one else is saying about him, which is nigh on impossible. But I'm gonna keep slogging through because I want to write it. I want to put something down about what I feel about the fella, but. Just feels like, he's run his race, he's tired, he wants to rest. He's probably pissed off and had enough with so many aspects of it. I'm listening to conversations I'm having with my own mates as a fan. And, we're pissed off with refs, we're pissed off with VAR, we're pissed off with the media and the way that they deal with, football at times and things like that. And he will be as well, all of those things, I think. And I think he just, it's just did you see his little interview before the game where he was saying about they were like, oh Jurgen, you're on a yellow and all that, and he was just joking about that, wasn't he? Saying
it was one of my favourite bits, and I thought of you because you were saying last week about I hope he goes balls out on the last press conference, to actually in a pre-match thing on Sky, we're having that chat when they're going to him, you've got to be careful not to get booked because otherwise you'll have a touchline ban for the last game. For him to literally have a pop at the referee that's about to ref your game. He literally said, the biggest challenges you've given me today is give Simon Hooper as the ref. That's wild, isn't it? Everyone just laughed at it in the studio because it's he's fucking off now, so it doesn't matter. But imagine if a manager had said that if he wasn't leaving in a week. Basically, the ref is shit. Before the game even starts.
Should say thanks, by the way, to Michael Hamrogue, who was thrown 10 quid in on the Super Like.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Is it Super
Chat?
Every week I get it wrong, don't I? I wrote it down last week and I think I still got it wrong.
Anyway, I don't know. Is it? I just said Super Chat. Is it? I don't know whether it is Super Likes.
Super Chat. Yeah, it says celebrate the first Super Chat from Michael. Hey! There you go. There's your celebration. Nice one, Michael. Yeah, you can throw in super chats if you really love us and you want to help us pay for the studio.
Yeah, thanks. You just throw that in and then stopping, yeah. Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? It's nice that it's nice that he's been able to do that, and we'll jump around loads because why the fuck not? It's the end of the season. Our weekly shout out to Andrew Beasley, our bass tune to Red. There was someone asked when it looked like we could when we could have got 84 points before yesterday's throwaway again. Someone asked Andrew how many times, if any, would 84 points have been enough to win the Premier League title, and there was 8 times. But I said to you in the week because I thought, we probably won't get 84 though. But even if we win, if we got the draw, so even if we beat Wolves at home, which hopefully we will, we get 82 points, and that would have been enough to win the league 6 times, the Premier League. I don't know what the years before that, but I would imagine more. And it just shows you where we are now, doesn't it? And look, Arsenal can say the same thing, can't they? 89 points would have won them the league in 8 seasons, and you're not for all the reasons you're not going to win the league for all the reasons we've discussed in the past.
We've got the weird situation of this game tonight that we're chatting bubbles during it almost, aren't we? Spurs and City.
Yeah, well, if you're watching this live, we've City play Spurs in a couple of hours. If you're watching it back, you'll already know that Man City have beaten them, because they will, because that's what they do. And it's just I keep giving him a shout out, don't I? The latest reference point of brother-in-law who's the Arsenal fan, and whenever I see Arsenal fans talking about this stuff now, I'm like, yeah, you're getting a taste of what we've had for years. It's soul destroying in a way. It's just, I remember a few weeks ago, I don't know whether we said this last week, watching footballers doing the predictions, and because you forget how biased you still are, even when you're trying to be reasonable about things. And they were talking about predicting games at the end of the season, who'd win, who'd lose, how many points you'd end up with. And some of the games they were predicting us to lose, I was like, oh, fuck off. We're gonna win all of these, blah, blah. And everyone, basically pretty much everyone who's objective in any way, was saying if Liverpool and Arsenal don't beat Man City and go into the closing stages of the season with a 5-point gap, Man City will win the league. And I was watching it going, nah, City won't win this league. And guess what? The same thing has happened that always happens. We slipped up, then Arsenal slipped up, and City just carried on winning. And that's just what they do. And I do think there is an element of what I said a couple of weeks ago of almost just waiting out Guardiola leaving, because at some point he'll get fed up. I don't know. Part of me, there was a little part of my head the other night watching him going, I wonder it'll be this summer, just out the blue. Because he does do that, doesn't he? Just out the blue goes, right, I'm off.
Yeah, no, Gallagher said that on the radio the other day. He was like, we could just suddenly do it in the summer.
Because think about this summer, he'll have done the treble last season. So he's won the European Cup, which he was wanting to do. He'll have done a double-double, probably. And he'll have won 4 leagues on the run. That's not a bad time to just pack it in.
Also, as well, nice time to shoot off before. And as well about City won it last season with 89, season before with 93, season before with 86. Then it's us with 2017 for anyone but City or Liverpool winning the league.
But you know what's funny? I was thinking about this the other day. Without us at our very, very best under Klopp pushing them, we pushed them to 100 points and 99 points to win the league. And was it 99 or 98? Since then, what have been their points total since we won the league?
Since our 99, they got 86, 93 and 89.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this. Like, we've done that thing where we've scaled the mountain because to get there we knew we had to get high 90s. But actually, and I wouldn't be surprised if Edwards and the backroom staff who are now back to the just technical data stuff. If you just said, we just need to get 90 points every season, we'd have won more league titles. But just stayed consistent, hit 90 points. Like, don't try and compete with them when they're hitting 100. Just hit 90. And I know before anyone starts, like, they can up their game as you up your game and all the rest of it. But the reality is they have dipped as well. And the problem is we fell off a cliff too many times after we won the league. And there's all kinds of conversations about that. And I actually do think we're going to look back and think he didn't get backed enough. Because after we won the league, we've fallen away. Like, I think have we won an FA Cup and 2 League Cups since then?
Yeah, but I mean, like, there was close.
It's a big conversation. I know.
Exactly. It looked like we were on for a quadruple, then we weren't. Looked like we were on for all kinds this season, then we weren't.
Well, we've had 2 quadruple seasons, haven't we? We've had 2 seasons where we were going for the quadruple, and it fell off a cliff. Like, we didn't win the league or the Champions League or a European trophy in either of those seasons. But I don't think I'm not sure you'll ever get away from that point of like, so I mean, there are people who just don't like FSG and bang on about this all the time. Don't think you can see they even bore people now, but there is some element in that of, if you look at how much Arsenal have invested in their squad since Arteta took over and how much we've invested in ours, you're like, well, in black and white terms, that's how they've caught us and gone past us.
Thanks to David O'Sullivan as well, who's thrown in a super chat.
Not going to celebrate it?
It's not asked me to. Oh, no, it has. Celebrate the first super chat from David O'Sullivan. Hey, get in. Well in, David O'Sullivan.
Thanks, mate. But yeah, look, generally speaking, let's have a little bit chat about the game, because it's 1 clean sheet in the last 16 Premier League games. And the game itself is basically reflective of the whole season, isn't it? That's the issue. What was your thinking about? Because I thought we were lucky to go in ahead at half time, and then when we scored to go 3-1 up, I was like, well, we should be fine now. And then he made those 4 subs all at the same time, and straight away I was like, that's a lot of changes to make to your team in one go. But they came on and they looked fresh and all the rest of it, and we had a couple of chances. But I did think that was a bit too much for me. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was a lot in given where we were at, and I get that I get the idea was probably just fresh legs, all good players, do a bit of a a psychological, oh no, look what they're bringing on type of thing, maybe. But it doesn't leave you much room to manoeuvre then, does it, if you bring in 4 at once? You know what I mean? Like, could you do 2 and 2, or could you do 1 and 3, or whatever? It was just, I don't know, it felt a little bit unnecessary, like. I mean, and look, that's what they mentioned. There's an element of fluke in that. That lad doesn't know what he's doing when that ball hits him and it's just randomly gone in.
But they missed some big chances, didn't they?
Yeah.
But at the same time, something that's been in my head now, so there's definitely confirmation bias going on. But something you mentioned a week ago, and it's funny because we hadn't talked about this until you mentioned it on the show. But Luis Diaz has started to do my head in a little bit. Considering how much like bad press Darwin Núñez gets for missing chances, I'm starting to see Luis Diaz as a bit of a magic trick. Like, because he's all action and he's everywhere and he works dead hard, everyone loves him. But actually his end product is often poor. There was that one, Joe, where we were through and all he had to do was roll it into the path of Salah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he massively overhit it, and you're like, mate, I could have played that pass. It's not that difficult. Just play it into the space and let him run onto it. And I think that's a big thing. And it's funny, I was watching the team and the squad and thinking who I'd sell and stuff. And then I thought to myself, no, that I'd only sell them if Klopp was still in charge and we were still playing the same formation. Because the reality is, we've got no idea how Slot's going to set up, do we? And we know he's probably going to play a 4-2-3-1. But I'm intrigued even in that. Like, when he's looking at our squad, it would be interesting to, maybe we should do this in the summer, to predict what his first lineup will be during a 4-2-3-1. How would you take the lads we've got now and fit them into that formation to pick the best team? Like, would Diaz be in it? Because if you're putting Diaz and Salah in that as your 2 wide players in the 3, that's really. And I know, look, there's that thing as well, isn't there? They're just numbers, and actually, what dictates the formation is the players you put in and how that sets up. Because I was going to say that's pretty attacking. That you're effectively gonna have 4 attackers on the pitch all the time. But we have seen that with Klopp a few times this season. So,
I mean, he's in double figures, isn't he? Diaz for goals, 13 goals. But I think where you would say, and it backs up what you were just saying, is for where he is on the pitch and what he does, 5 assists isn't a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, considering, and this is the big one, isn't it? Like, and I know he's gone in and out of fashion this year, Núñez, even with us. But I saw someone tweeted this week, Parted Beard on Twitter said, and I love that, he does what we've started doing, like, put your caveat in first, do you know what I mean? Put your disclaimer in first. He says goals and assists not everything and all the other disclaimers, but Mane never had a season with Liverpool with more goals and assists than Núñez in all competitions. Núñez has got 31 goals and assists this year. That was Mane's best ever season, 31, 19-20. And that's a shitload of goals and assists together, isn't it? And that's the bit, because we all focus on the big chances he misses. You forget the assists he's got.
I just don't see a scenario where he isn't here next season.
Núñez?
Yeah, he's here. He signed a 6-year deal, didn't he?
Yeah, but I'm thinking more something you mentioned, and we're going to come on to talk about Man United later. Well, not even that. If to sell someone, someone's got to buy him.
Yeah. Who's buying? I mean,
who's buying a £60 million player?
I'm sure there's clubs that would buy him, but also they'd look at the situation and go, "I'm not giving you anything near, a record fee what you paid for."
Exactly.
I mean, what? Like, it's interesting already. Obviously, talking about who might go, who might stay, who we're already being linked with as well. There's a lot of talk about Gordon, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah. Which on the surface sounds wild. Because Everton links and everything else, but equally, you do minimal digging. Obviously, he was on Liverpool's books before Everton's.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
And did you see? I haven't watched the whole interview. Did you watch his interview with Gary Neville?
Who? Anthony Gordon?
Yeah.
No.
I only watched the first time. My Bezzy, yeah. But he said in it, because I've often wondered, like, that's a big thing for an Evertonian to go. I'm going to Newcastle, not like I'm going to Man United. When Rooney went to Man United at their best, you're like, yeah, I sort of get that. But to go to Newcastle, that's still a project. But the way he talked, you could tell he's just ruthless. He was just like, I'm getting to the top. It's about me and my career. It's not about what club I'm playing for.
And equally, you know, all the band are back together now, aren't they, in terms of Edwards and Ward, and Ward's come back the other day.
We're gonna have a chat about that later, but don't you think that's interesting in itself?
Very much so. But in terms of being linked to Anthony Gordon, you know, loads of people I think will do the emotional thing where you're like, I don't want a blue nose playing for Liverpool, you know, blah 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 blah. That's exactly the type of side of the game they don't even consider for 1 second.
Yeah, that's not in the stats.
So they're like, he's scored 10 goals, he's got 10 assists, he's young, you know, potentially gettable, all of these kind of things. That's what they look at. It does seem wild on the surface, and it certainly seems wild. You know, like I wouldn't be paying 100 million for him in a million years. Like, that's wild though. But yeah, I mean, allegedly, you know, if you listen to the grapevine and all that, there's something in it. So
I'd have him. Would you have him?
It would be weird. Like, I can hear you know, that side of my brain calling to me. Like, I didn't like him when he was playing for Everton, obviously. But equally, you know, he pulls red on and he's skinning players, scoring and setting them up. He's fast, isn't he? Blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, that's going to point to someone significant leaving, you would suggest as well. And when Diaz's dad hasn't shut up all season seemingly about you know, his son might be going here, there and everywhere.
Oh really, has he? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so you know, you do wonder.
Well, I mean, that's a question, isn't it? Would you swap Diaz for Gordon? Is Diaz 28?
Don't know.
I'd swap Diaz for Gordon. I don't know. I don't even know what Gordon's stats are, but I think his impact.
Diaz.
Like, stage of his career, and it was funny last night. I thought he looked goosed, and he's done a lot of running, hasn't he? And that's the type of sale Edwards would make.
Gordon's 23.
Yeah, so there's 4 or 5 years in it, depending on their birthdays. But that's the type of sale. Do you know, like when we sold Wijnaldum, and I'd have given Wijnaldum a new contract, and Edwards behind the scenes is like, nah, legs have gone, or his legs are about to go. The best thing that Edwards does, I think, is sell players just before their legs go. It's such an important skill to have. Get dough in and let them legs fall off on someone else's time.
Yeah, 60 grand a week, contract till 2026, 10 goals, 10 assists in the Premier League is Anthony Gordon this season.
10 goals, 10 assists.
Yeah,
and he's at 24. Did you say 23? So think about the potential still left in him to develop. He's skyrocketed since he's gone up there, hasn't he? He said himself, like, he was shocked by how much was being touted about him going to Chelsea and then Newcastle, because he was saying my numbers weren't good enough before I went there. But obviously he's worked on that.
Back on his potentially back on his home turf as well. He's a Kirkdale lad, isn't he? Right, I'm gonna have to have a go at this name, aren't I? Thaddeus. Sorry, mate, but you know, that's not a name I come across every day. Thaddeus Lawrence, US dollars, $4.99. He says, I'm going to put my light blue button-up collar shirt on to match the TLC vibe. Lol. Seriously, keep up the good work. Y'all are my favourite LFC podcast.
Thanks, you, mate. Appreciate it. And we do this on purpose. Rob will deny it, but
it's like the third time, isn't it, that we look like we've coordinated.
Are we doing that thing where we're becoming like a married couple without realising it?
I know.
We just think, like, we're looking in the. If you could have 2 cameras on us in the morning getting dressed, it sees us like both going to, like, drifting towards the blue shirt at the same time.
Well, it's only because I couldn't find the right GIF, because you know I love a GIF, like. So in our little late challenge group, we were talking about various things, weren't we? And I was going to actually put last night, I can see a scenario where me and you end up like fucking Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
in our matching pajamas, do you know what I mean?
But with a YouTube, it'll just be a constant YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Here they are, tune in again. We've only got about 20 minutes left, so like,
it feels like we haven't even started.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? To wrap up the Liverpool stuff before. Well, we're probably not gonna have time on here, but we'll talk about it on the Patreon. We're gonna talk about the incomings and comings and goings in the back room of at the club. But I want to talk more about the season, the wider league before then. But just to wrap up the Liverpool team stuff, on the flip side of the defence stats that we said before, what also sums up Jurgen Klopp and his teams is we've got 140 goals in all competitions. You sent this to me last night. 140 goals in all competitions, which is the second most prolific season in LFC's history, only behind 147, also under Jurgen Klopp in 21-22. And Neville, did you see Neville ask Carragher this last night? And he had to go, oh yeah. He went, isn't this the most exciting Liverpool team of all time? Because when Liverpool were brilliant back in the day, before our time, most of it, we were a machine, weren't we? I remember my ex-father-in-law used to say to me, Paul, like, the idea of Liverpool being this like amazing flamboyant team is bullshit. Even think about it. You used to be able to pass the ball back to the keeper and he could pick it up and hold it for as long as he wanted. Then he could give it back to the player who gave it to him, and that player could give it back to him and he could pick it up again. He went, we used to go to European aways where there was no cameras, so the only people who saw the game were the people who went to the game and came home. And bear in mind, the Echo reporters who went, especially under Shankly, had to do what Shankly said. So Shankly was a propagandist, do you know what I mean? He was like, tell them we were fucking brilliant. So the reporters come back on Liverpool brilliant. He said, I've been to some games to watch Liverpool and the most boring thing you've ever seen in your life, because we go 1-0 up, done. This game is over now. And we have seen like 9 years of pure entertainment, haven't we?
No,
That's
100%.
reality.
I mean, you said about lists and, you know, like favourite aways and all that kind of stuff. And I seen one of my mates just throw his own like little random list up on Facebook, and he included the one at Norwich. And I went to that. And like,
the 5-4.
It was absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But think about that. We won a game 5-4.
But one of our mates lives down there. And so, like, you know, we combined obviously seeing him with watching the game. And like, what a night we had. Yeah. We came out of there like bouncing. Like, what if we just watched?
Yeah, but when you think about that
he broke
game,
his glasses,
I think that game, like, we went ahead twice and they pulled us back twice. So like, we could have just shut it down. But you would never have those memories, would you? And like Klopp's glasses getting smashed and all that. It was just unbelievable.
100%. I mean, there's going to be loads of that to come, isn't there? From not just us, from everyone, really. And I think, as you know, we've got Wolves this weekend, and you know, there's all that. It doesn't matter. It's this, that, and the other. But I think everyone's a bit like steeling themselves for, like, you know, when you're actually he's going to come to the Kop at the end, isn't he, and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, that is going to be quite tough to take. Like, we can all do that. Doesn't really matter, 40. I'm not that really bothered. But you are, and it does. And, you know, I imagine some of the big hard lads will be holding back the tears, and, you know, come the final whistle on Sunday.
I think that would have been happening last night, wouldn't it? Because he said after the game...
I saw the video of that, and I tweeted it, was saying, like, got a bit dusty there. Yeah. Just the expression on his face.
Yeah, well...
And he was looking at the away end.
It was funny in the post-match press conference, because he said, like, it didn't really dawn on me, it was my last game. And I was like, it did, you liar, because you went up to the away end and looked emotional. Like, you were saying goodbye to the away end. This is the last time you're going to say goodbye to an away end. And that's okay. Like, and that was a poignant moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. 100%.
Seeing him standing there being like, just going to soak this in for a minute and then I'm off. Like, the moment when he turned and waved to just be like, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. Imagine that on Sunday, like, at home in front of the 60,000 fans.
And then they're going to wheel him out again for some random show at the arena.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Nice one to Paul Fitzsimons, a long-term supporter of the show, who's thrown a tenner in and says, have an end-of-season beer on me. Well, thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And I hope you're well, by the way.
Yeah, we appreciate your ongoing support every week. And look, let's just finish with a quote that you sent me before we talk about other things. Jurgen said, you can make of it what you want and say it is the story of the season, i.e. throwing away a lead. I don't see it like that. For me, the story of the season is the boys showed they have a really good character and a sensational attitude. That's why we are here today and why we have 79 points. I know nobody wants to hear that, but being the third best team in the league from where we are coming from is a statement as well as improvement with a lot of changes. I like it. I'm not over the moon about it, but since a week or two, we have to accept we cannot be the best or the second best team in the league. That's a good basis for the future, and that's all you can ask for. And I think that's right, isn't it? Like when you think, what did he want to do this season? His task was leave the club in a good position for the next fella. We're finishing third. We've won a trophy. We've got a squad that can be built on. There are places for him to improve, which if you're the manager coming in, you want that, don't you? If you're the manager coming in, you probably don't want us to win the league and win the quadruple because you're like, fucking hell, where do I go with this? So there's clear places he can improve us, and we'll all be open to it as well. I think that's the important thing. And I think the players will be open to a new voice and a new way of doing things, because I think maybe we're all a bit, I was saying to someone today, like, I think we'd all be happy with a few like 1-0 and 2-0 wins next season, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Where we just like win. You go 2-0 up with 60 minutes.
Easy for the heart rate.
And nothing else happens.
Yeah.
And everyone just goes, oh, that was good. We were solid there.
No, 100%. Stuff that's easy with the heart rate would be nice. And look, there's loads of young lads, isn't there, that, of now being blooded and can be included in the squad and all that kind of thing. Like you look at Bobby Clark, for example. He's played in 12 games this season, which is mad, isn't it?
Including a cup final.
Connor Bradley's played 22 games.
I think these lads have played at Wembley.
Dokes played 5. I don't know when that happened.
When did that happen? Fucking hell, the season's long, isn't it?
I know. Dan's has been, being involved in 5. McConnell's being involved in 9. And on we go. Like, and it's, they're like, some of them I'm mentioning. Well, Dan's is 18. Dokes 18, Bobby Clark is 19. So there's plenty of stuff like it's not just like your big hitters. There's like lads coming through as well, isn't there? So that there is so much to be positive about, and I think I'm yet to be like sort of fully in the camp of right. Tell me more about the next fella. I'm consuming little bits here and there, but I'm not ready for it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, and of course, it's not still officially announced, but I mean, we all know it is going to happen. I'm still waiting for that. I tweeted about it the other week because I was thinking about it. That the first big press conference, like, what's he going to be like? What's he going to say? How's he going to deal with the questions? And look, people say it's not important in the modern day. It quite clearly is. Like, we're still referencing, all of us, aren't we? Klopp's first press conference. We're still saying, remember he said the normal one. Remember he bounced in, fresh-faced, owned the room, was ordering journalists around, was getting Ian Ayre in a headlock, whatever. Like, he walked in the place and lit it up, and straight away you were like, yeah, here we go. Watch me go. And like, he's talking about titles from day one and things like that. What? It's going to be tough for this next fella, isn't it? I mean, how do you follow that? What you come in and say. I did like, did you see the little clip of him going up to the Feyenoord fans in, a bit of a Klopp-esque manner, like, went up to like their end, if you like, and was giving it all a like, and he's, they do that thing, don't they, where one end sings to the other and all that, Feyenoord. He was getting involved, like he was singing it, and then they were singing the next bit back to them, and he was doing all that, and I thought, I like that.
Yeah.
Only a little thing, isn't it? But I like that.
Well, he does. I've only seen clips of him, but he seems like a likeable fella, which will help.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like, and I think there's that element of don't try and compete. You can't. He's not going to give a press conference as good as Klopp's first press conference, is he? He hasn't. He's a nice guy, it seems like, but he hasn't got that aura about him. He hasn't got that like personality that just blows away a room. I remember that the energy in that press conference
as well, isn't he? And look, you should never generalise, should you? But there are traits attached to people from places.
Yeah.
And that's not like racist or something, is it? Like, we've got traits attached to, Liverpool and things like that. And there's like a trait attached to the Dutch of being like, well, relaxed essentially, hasn't there? You know what I mean? Like, you don't let things get to them. I'm just wondering how that's going to work. Because like some people criticize Van Dijk, don't they, sometimes, for like he's too relaxed.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but we literally sing a song about him being as calm as you like at his best. And when we're flying, you don't mind him being relaxed. So you can't really get on his back for being relaxed when things are going wrong. That's him. That's his personality. So yeah, I'm just interested to see where Slot's Slot's personality fits. But even the slot thing's weird, isn't it? Slot,
yeah.
I've got to get my head around that. The slot machine.
We've said this, but the journalists all around the country are absolutely, well, not so much the journalists as the newspaper men who are selling the stuff the journalists write. Headline writers. Think there'll be people making those headlines already. Well, we'll be fucking doing them on our thumbnails on YouTube, won't we? Because it's just made for that. It's made for the modern media generation.
It's just all a bit sad.
Yeah. Well, we've got time for that next week, haven't we? Maybe we'll do some reflecting like shows after the season's finished to look back and do all our favourite games and all the rest of it. I was only thinking as well, watching Sky last night, we did predictions at the start of the season, didn't we? Maybe we should dig them back out and have a look.
Let's not.
Don't want to.
Terrible.
I reckon they might be all right, you know.
I think me and you had didn't I tip Villa and you tip Spurs, I seem to remember.
Yeah.
So I've had you off.
And I was thinking I was well having you off with that. And now you've done me at the last.
I think we should take that one.
I think we both said Kai Havertz was shit. Which
I think most people did, though, to be fair.
But he's done well to turn that round, hasn't he?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, as well, you know, like, we're third, aren't we, no matter what? We were third no matter what last night as well. I think we've just played, you know, the two teams that are closest to us, if you like, league-wise, etc. And we're well better than them, aren't we?
Yeah.
And that's now. That's with this team. That's without whoever we buy in the summer. That's without a new manager tweaking things, etc. So it's like, so we're the third best team.
Yeah.
So he's coming in and we're the third best team.
Yeah.
And we've just proven that over the last couple of games we've got, like, you know, I would say, I'm a Red, obviously. I would say we've edged it there last night, and we've done it to ourselves again, haven't we? You know, I called a show that the other week, didn't I? You do it to yourselves. You do. That's what really hurts. Well, Liverpool did it again, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like there's loads wrong to fix it to me. It feels like, you know, a couple of signings, key positions. Obviously, the whole thing about them being the right people, obviously, and all that. But I don't feel like we're broken or anything. Do you know what I mean?
I don't. And look, the backroom stuff we're going to talk about on Patreon later. That gives me hope, and we've said this before, but it is worth like stressing. We've finished comfortably third, and our defensive midfielder, who's played most of the season, well, the season was split between two lads. One who's an actual defensive midfielder who cost 16 million quid and is an old fella from Japan. And the other one is a fella who's not a number 6. We're up against sides that paid £100 million for Declan Rice to add to their already second in the league finish. And Man City, who've got Rodri as their number 6, who is basically the best player in that position. Maybe the best I've ever seen. Did you see someone asking about whether Cruyff would have picked Rodri over Guardiola back in the day? He was like, was he as good as you? And Guardiola's basically like, yeah, that's how good he is. He's an unbelievable footballer. So go and buy a world-class centre midfielder, and that's an automatic improvement in our squad, isn't it? That's not rocket science. But again, it comes back to the 4-2-3-1
you know, we can
thing.
offer Champions League football. We can point to a squad that's got quality in it. It's got a good spine, all of that kind of thing.
Well, the reality is, the fans all wrote off. This was making me laugh. I don't know how you were all reacting to it, but it made me laugh that, like, up until the weekend, because I watched more of the footy over the weekend, and it was when Man City won, and they said on the telly, so that's the end of Liverpool's title challenge. And I laughed. I was like, we all thought our title challenge ended a week, 10 days, 2 weeks ago. But we went to the second to last weekend of the season with a mathematical possibility of winning the league. That's a good basis to build on, isn't it, at the end of the day? Like, and we've had more players who've had a go out trying to win the league, which we all know, generally speaking, you have to try and do that before you actually win one. So
Ian Matthews there saying we haven't even mentioned Kwanzaa getting his first Premier League goal.
Yeah, do you know what? I didn't even put that in the agenda. I meant to last night, and I forgot all about it.
And he's another one, isn't he? Where,
great
like,
header.
you know, it's his debut season for the club.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you know, he gets ripped by Watkins? He gets ripped anyway, doesn't he, on one of the goals. But I thought, you know, to take the positive from the negative, if you like, yet again he showed that moments like that do not bother him one bit. Because I thought the rest of the game he was pretty good again.
Absolutely.
And then obviously scores a great header. And you're like, I can't see that there can't be many Reds out there who'd moan now if he's playing next season. You know, like opening day, he's playing. You know, you're just going to look at it and go, sound, aren't you? Like hopefully we will have bought someone else at centre half because Matip's going to go. Konate's forms fell far quite lately. So you would think maybe that's one of the areas he's going to strengthen, but it's not bad to know that he's there and he's absolutely fine and he's seemingly unshakable. Like he's not this, you know, he's not Stuart down, and is he? Do you know what I mean? To pick an example of someone who saw Stuart, but I did think you were a bit mentally weak.
Work out, yeah. Have I ever told you my story about him?
No.
Which is a mad one. We have got a little bit more to talk about, but to come towards the end of this one, and this is a mad story to go. That's why he shouldn't be playing for Liverpool. I was out on a night out in town when he was a Liverpool winger, and there was a queue to get into one of the big bars in town, Alameda Cuba, and he stood in the queue that I was in. And I went to my mate, sell him right now. And they were like, why? I went, you can't be a winger for Liverpool and not walk straight to the front of that queue and say, do you know who I am? In the nicest possible way. Do you mean I'm not usually an advocate for that sort of thing? But I tell you what, John Barnes isn't walking to the back of that queue, is he?
No.
John Barnes is walking right to the front and saying, I'm John Barnes. Yeah. I'm coming in. And if you haven't got that type of attitude as a Liverpool attacker, you're fucked.
Do you remember I don't know how I've got here, but do you remember he scored for Liverpool and then cupped his ear to Liverpool fans while playing for Liverpool? Yeah. And you were like,
that's mad, mate.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you play for us. Yeah.
You haven't been any good, mate. Like, soz. Just got to mention Momo Yama, who was throwing a couple of dollars in and says, one of the few channels not running a sell Mo agenda.
Thanks, mate. Are they all in on it? They're probably all in on it.
Don't watch it.
They're probably all getting backhanders, aren't they? Getting cut.
Fan media shit except this.
I know. It is. That's what we should start doing. That should be our advertising pitch. All other fan media is shit. Watch our channel because all other fan media is shit.
Arrogant bastards on that challenge. Did you hear what they said?
Did you hear what they said? They started wearing blue shirts and now they're getting full of themselves. We haven't got long left. I just want to mention this before we go over to Patreon that because I've seen people talking about this, about, you know, with all these high points at the top end of the table, well, does that mean the league's better or worse than it used to be? And I didn't realise until the weekend, because everyone's been raving about Luton Town, and I really like Rob Edwards. I think he's got really good way about him and stuff. But I think I heard that the relegated teams are going down with the lowest combined points total ever, something like 66 points. Nottingham Forest are pretty much confirmed safe on 29 points. And a shout out to my brother-in-law on the other side, who's a Blue Nose, who I saw him on at the weekend, and he said to me, and I haven't checked this, so blame him if this is wrong, he said Everton are on 40 points and are completely clear, aren't they? They went into the last 3 weeks of the season completely clear. 40 was usually a minimum to be anywhere near clear. So if they hadn't had their points deduction, they'd be equal on points with Brighton, who are 10th. And they went, this is the bit I haven't checked, he said, we went 4 months without winning a game. 4 months of a season. How long is the football season? 7 months? 8? They went 4 months without winning a game. And without the points deduction, they'd be joint 10th. That's wild, isn't it? That suggests the league has gone a bit shit.
Well, I mean, Sheffield United have been absolutely shit.
I've got the league in front of me.
3 wins out of 37. Conceded 101 goals. I mean, they'll go down as one of the worst sides ever to come up. But as you say, Luton seem to sort of won a lot of friends and all that kind of thing, but they've won 6 games.
Got 26 points. And that's one of the things that annoys me. They only got 26 points and one of them was from us.
I know.
You're like, oh, fuck off.
Don't do that. I can't, you know what?
It's only
some
that
of my
one
mates
thing.
have started to do this.
No,
what about that game? I should have done this. And what about that game and that happened? You're like, I mean, look, we've been banging on all season that we should definitely have more points anyway. What are we on now? We're on 79. If it wasn't for what happened at Spurs, no, you let it go. we'd already have broken the 80 mark, wouldn't we? So yeah, I'm never letting it go.
Only one more game to go this season to have the full
to
hit
not
for
let
you.
it go.
Yeah.
I won't be letting it go after Wolves either.
But yeah, that's it. We've run out of time on this, the free show. We're going to carry on chatting about stuff. We're going to talk about Pep Lijnders potentially moving to a managerial role. We're going to talk about the people who are leaving the backroom team, the people who are coming in, as Robbo mentioned earlier, the band being back together, as everyone keeps calling it. We're going to have a chat about Man United because it's just funny to laugh at them while we can. Let's make
one of the biggest waterfalls in the UK.
Yeah, I love that, you know. I'd really, really like it. I really enjoy it. And for any of you out there who don't like this sort of thing, I think anyone our age or around our age will very much be on board with it, because we had to endure 30 years of our lives to those bastards being better than us, didn't we? So I'm no shame at all
the amount
in
of
reveling with how shit they are.
Is glorious.
It's just unbelievable. So we're going to get all into that on the Patreon show. We'll have a chat about Alonso, maybe the European footy in the semi-finals last week, which was, I don't know whether you watched them, but they were great as well. We might not even have time for all that, but if you want to come across, you can watch it for free.
There's a small gap that you'd have to wait.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm glad you said that. You know, a couple of people had a moan last week that they went to watch our Patreon show live and it wasn't immediately available. That's because we have to stop filming this and we're in a studio and they have to change the cameras and we have to go for a wee and have a cup of tea and all these things. So it'll be about 10 minutes until we start on Patreon. So if you go over there and we're not there immediately, don't panic. We will be with you soon. That's if you're watching live. If you're watching back, wherever you are, if you want to watch it, you can join for free. Basically, go to the links below this, come and have a free trial for 7 days, fill your boots, watch as many of the back ones as you want. There's about 55 shows there now. Someone messaged us, which I loved. Did you see this one about he's been watching the recent Patreon shows and then he started working his way backwards rather than start at the beginning. So he said the season's getting better the further back he goes, which I really liked. That made me laugh. Sorry, mate, I didn't write down your name because I'm shit at stuff like that. But shout out for you. You made me laugh. Yeah, come and have a go if you want. Join us. It's £4 a month as a basic minimum contribution. If you want to support us, you can do the buy me a coffee thing if you just want to throw some dough in, or the super chat thing on YouTube. All of that helps us keep going, helps us build. I'm working in an office now before we come in.
That's why I've got matching
more
shirts.
And more of us, more and more of us in this setup are working harder so that we can carry on doing this. We've got Dave in the other room now working in a law firm. So the more you support us, the more we can pack in all this other shit and we can come fresh to do these shows and give you more top quality content.
We can create a Gareth Roberts and Paul Cope version of Wayne's World. That's the utopia, isn't it?
Is that the plan?
Yeah.
We're gonna have an end of season catch up, aren't we, and talk about revised plans.
We'll spend our super chats.
Yeah. So all the money you've sent us, we will actually go out and spend it in planning for world domination for the future. That's it. You know all the ways you can help us. If you don't want to chip in, we understand that. If cost of living and all the rest of it, with all the bastards charging us too much for butter. If you want to support us in other ways, click the subscribe button on YouTube. That is free. Leave a review somewhere on a podcast. That is free. Click the like button on this video on YouTube if you liked it. That's free and it really helps because it helps YouTube to show it to more people. That's all you need to do. Thank you for your support. As always, we'll see you in a few minutes if you're coming to join us on Patreon. For the rest of you, we'll see you next week for the last game of the season.
In a bit.